Okay. So, Robert, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Robert Tuckman, and I am a entrepreneur, founder of a company called Amaze Media Labs. We help businesses, individuals create podcasts, but most importantly, we have a product called Audience Lift, which helps podcasts grow both audio and on YouTube.
Excellent. And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart, and I have Gear Media Studios and co-host this meetup and help people start podcasts. And am hoping to learn a lot tonight. But I'll be doing part of it where I will be showing you how to get started on YouTube. We'll start. Up here. We will start with Melissa. So, why is this? So, okay. Oh, I see. You have 29 slides. I don't think we're going to make it through.
Get through all those.
Yeah, let me see how
There's
I'm.
the little plus and minus at the top.
Yeah. Which one? That one?
Yep.
That one? Network to internet access.
Yep.
So, oops.
Up to the top in the center, you've got a plus and a minus. Just
Oh.
keep hitting the plus until it gets.
There you
There
go.
you go. Okay. So this is just, as I mentioned earlier, our Gear Media Studio podcast community, and a little bit about what we're trying to do there, getting people help on starting, growing, sharing, connecting, and earning through their podcasts. QR code, which just got covered up on the screen, is where you can access that. And if you can flip to the next slide, tell them a little bit about what it's all about.
Let me see. Next, just a second. This is the next slide is. I can do this.
Can do that. Okay. All right. So this is just a little bit of highlights of some of the things that we are doing on the community. You'll get to hear about what types of meetups we're having and get a preview on those. We also have the meetup recaps to give you some of the highlights in case you were unable to attend or want a reminder of all the information you've learned. And then we also post some things to generate conversation and get people interacting with each other. For instance, the swap links and guest speaking. Let us know about your podcast and what it is your needs are, and we can kind of go from there. And if we go to the next one. And then I'm done. This is a little bit about me, but it is not just about me. I do have a podcast that is coming soon. Hopefully, Travel Solo with a Smile podcast. We will hopefully be launching in the next few weeks or so. You can scan this QR code, the blue one, if you like, and you'll follow along with us on Instagram, and you can see the whole process of what's going on there. But what I have here is not only my background, but also what I've asked for everyone to kind of contribute onto the Facebook page. So what it is, if you have a podcast, what it's about, what it is you're looking for as far as collaborations or guests or whatnot, and what your biggest hurdles are. And if everyone that's out there that has joined the community can put in information along these lines onto the page, we can all help support each other that much more. So this is just an example of that. And it is on the Facebook page too.
I do want to give a teaser. How to set up a YouTube channel. Oh, this is great. Okay. A little bit about YouTube. So,
so this is a little bit about why YouTube matters, why we're all here today. This is not just a content platform. This is the #2 search engine behind Google. It is huge. It is the fastest growing. If you want to be found out there, this is the way to do it. They have their own algorithms, and I'm sure that you're going to be going through all of that. So I will not.
Everything you're saying is music to my ears, but it's also 100% from what we've seen true.
Yeah.
YouTube, if I'm starting a podcast, I am making sure it's on YouTube.
So a step back on me and also why I'm here is not just because of my travel podcast, but my career is somewhat bipolar, as I like to say. I've worked in marketing and marketing strategy for over 40 years now. So that is my background, and everything on digital media is where we're all specializing and focusing our attention right now. So hence what you'll see up here is hopefully accurate as well to the latest and greatest. So what you're going to do, what we will do in another workshop is kind of what you need to get started. These are just some of the things. You're going to need your Google account. You're going to need a channel name and various ideas. These are just some hints on how to do that. It should be unique. It should be linked to your content. It should be easy to say and spell, which are some of the things that people don't think about necessarily. Because when you're telling someone else about it,
That is so true. There are media companies that have names that are impossible to spell. Even their employees can't spell them.
exactly.
And you're like, what?
So when you're telling someone about it, if they can't remember what it's called because it's something a little crazy, or you can't spell it to find it, or it looks like everybody else is out there, all of these things are things we need to avoid. So just a couple of things on that. The short descriptor, who you are, what you're for, what they're going to learn from it, what they're going to be able to get out of it, how they can interact with you, and why you're qualified to talk about that topic. Even if it's an entertainment thing and you're just out there having fun, let them know some of that background in your descriptor. The profile photo and banner image formatted. This is what this whole rest of that presentation will be about, and we'll get to that at another one of these meetups. And then, of course, your first video file, or ideally at least 3. That helps with a number of things. One, it'll help with the algorithms. It'll give people a little opportunity to know what you're about beyond just one topic, so they can see maybe one doesn't stick, but others do. And it also gives them a chance to binge, because binge watchers or listeners are buyers as well. And at the end of the day, most of you probably want to get monetized. So that's kind of important.
Excellent. So I hope we've teased you enough about our next meetup. So I do want to just real quick. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I have
digging into the details.
Okay, so let's go into the details. I want to make sure nobody's trying to get in. Okay, so I guess we're okay. So let me bring up this. So, okay. This is my YouTube, one of my YouTube channels. Okay. So this is big. Okay, this is where we start. Okay. This is how you start a Google account if you don't have one. You type in Google. I don't know how many people have a Google account. And you go to account. You go to create an account. And then your first name, your last name, optional. Next. And the reason that you have to have a Gmail account is to get YouTube. So you can't have a YouTube account unless you have a Gmail account. So does anybody see anything wrong with what I typed in there?
It's the year 2000.
That's enough. It's hard. 2000.
Starting a little early.
And then you create an email address. You can choose your own. You can create your own. Sometimes that's kind of hard to do unless it's really unique. I just chose one here for these purposes. Or you can use an existing email, but I don't know why you would use an existing email to create an email. And then you create a password. And remember to write these down, your password and your Gmail address, so that you don't forget them. And then you put in your phone number, which I didn't show, and then it sends you a code. There's always 2-factor, right? And then you should do this. I skipped this step because I just had this account for these purposes. And then you, of course, have to go through and say, yeah, I agree to all your conditions. You're in control. Yeah, right.
Sure.
Sure. We believe that.
You said.
So now, yay, you have your Google account. So now you need to put a picture here. You can put your logo, you can put your photo. I'm just going to choose one of theirs. I like that. So I'm going to put that guy as the picture. And then that'll change up in the corner. So it's really upset at me for not putting in a recovery account. because you will lose this. And so you can see over here on the side are all the places you would go to change your password and look at things. And then here, these 9 dots are all the Google apps that you have with your Google account. So you have a Google Drive, you have the Gmail account, and you have YouTube, and you have these others too. But this is about YouTube, so let's look at YouTube. So this is what a brand new YouTube channel looks like. So it's asking us to sign in again, but we are already signed in, so it will recognize that. So there has that little guy again. And now this is the important part, YouTube Studio. This is where you do everything. Now here, the name can be anything. It can even be the name of another existing channel, right? So I don't really want my YouTube channel name to be my name. So let's go here and change the name. And then the handle is like your social media handle. It's unique to you. And you can change these. So somebody else already has Podcast Fun, so we have to add something to it. And now we can create the channel. Okay. And voila, you have a channel, but you're not done yet. So let's close that. I love all these little pop-ups. You can't really do anything quickly. So we're going to go to settings first. And the currency for us in the United States is $1. But you can see you can set it to your own currency. This is in case you can monetize your channel. They'll pay you. The country of residence here, we're in the United States. So just fill all this out. And you can add keywords for your channel. I didn't do that. And then advanced settings. If you do the advanced settings, this will show up on every video. So it won't ask you every time that the video is made for kids. I did not check don't show potentially inappropriate words because I check every video. So I shouldn't have those in there. And I don't know what it would actually do. And then I didn't check third-party training because I don't know what that actually does either. So we're done here. And then this, so you automatically have standard features. You want to get both the intermediate features and the advanced features. So intermediate, you do verifying with your phone number, which I didn't do here because I've used my phone number so many times. And then the advanced features is a little more difficult to get, but you really want these because you can do A/B testing, upload more videos, create more shorts, all that. And so it can be channel history or video verification or valid ID. So I would suggest strongly that you do all 3 of these. And then what else did we have? Upload defaults. So the title, that's going to show up on every video. So you really don't want to put a title there, but you could put some description there. And that would show up in your description for every video because this is the global settings. And we have that on some of our videos. So I tried to make this short. And then tags, you can add your tags down here. That'll go on every video. So you type it in with a comma, right? Just like you do tags everywhere. And I put my name on everyone that I'm in because then if somebody types in my name, it'll show all my videos. And then advanced settings, category. I don't really know what this is. I'm going to call it education. I think I am. I don't know why I'm waiting here. And then the video language, of course, is going to be English for us. I don't know if it'll translate. There were rumors that it was going to do translations for people, but I don't know. And then this is copyright stuff. So you have to say this has never been on TV. Like there aren't any copyright issues, right?
Elizabeth, there is a question, a part I worry about with copywriting. What if my name is already taken? And what about filming equipment? Oh, well, we'll come back to filming equipment. But since you were on copyright.
What if their name is already taken?
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have to put numbers after it, or or your middle initial. If your whole name is taken, which can happen.
It can happen. then you just have to add other things to it. Does that become a copyright issue?
No.
That comes from the copyright lawyer. You're good.
So here you can invite other people.
Yeah, Richard Gerhardt, 1, 2, 3, exactly.
Right. So on that last screen, you could invite other people to your channel, and then we just have these. Okay. So now this is where your content shows up. So remember, we used YouTube Studio to get here, so you'd get all that stuff down the side. We don't have any videos yet. You can look at your analytics, and we're going to go to customization now from here. And this is what Melissa's going to show you next time. How to, now this, okay, don't take this as any design skills because Melissa's a lot better than I am. I just threw this together in a couple minutes. But you can see that there's a safe place, and Canva has this template for you. And so then it's people mostly are looking on their phone, so you want the main part to show up on the phone. And then the name and the handle, and then pronouns and description. Tell viewers about your channel, so you can put a description about your channel in here. And if I could spell, I'd be dangerous. And then you go down, then down here you have your channel URL. So if you want to share your channel with anybody, language doesn't, I think you can add a second language for your channel to be in. And then add link, we're getting there. Okay, so you can copy that there. And send that to somebody. Add link, you can add like website and then your URL for your website here. And I think you can add multiple links.
Yeah, if you wanted to put in Instagram or LinkedIn or anything else, people would know how to find you on all the other channels.
Now you can put an email address here, but some people I talk to don't advise it because they think you'll get spam too much, but that's up to you. Now this screen is really important. And I think that Robert may talk about this a little bit. If you turn that on, you can look at the layout of your channel, right? But what's even more important than rearranging channel is to add sections. That's where you can add a channel trailer or a spotlight and these other items. And then if we wanted to add one, it's not going to work because we don't have any videos yet. But you could take a video from other channels, but you probably want your own video there, right? So now if we view our channel, now create. This button is always up here. That's where you add videos. So, and it's down there too on here, but it's always up there, and you go to upload video, or you could go live and make videos. So then select files. So I have a little video here, just a short. This is going to go on as a short because this is a short video because I didn't want to take up everybody's time. So then it uploads. So now it usually has some title you don't want. So you usually probably want to change the title. And what I like to do with my videos is I like to take the transcript and put it through ChatGPT and ask it for a really catchy, great title. And that's the title that I use. I also do that for the description, and I also ask it for hashtags. So either ChatGPT or one of the others. So I'm just like typing something in here, but it doesn't matter. But you also want in your title, and I think Melissa can attest to this too, you want the first word to be your main keyword, or you want your main keyword close to the first word of your title. So kitten, do you think kitten will get attention on YouTube? So, and there's some hashtags. And then, so this is a short, so you can't change the cover on it unless you do it on your phone, and you have to use a hack on your phone. It's a little complicated. So here's a playlist, and then you can do the description of your playlist. And so and if you want to make this a podcast, I'm not going to verify that. But if you want to make this a podcast, then you have a playlist, and then you make that playlist a podcast basically on YouTube. So this is done, and it's not made for kids. Okay, so we'll go to next. And add related video. I usually do add a related video at the end. Probably don't want to do it here because we don't have any other videos. You can upload. Now we upload SRT files for our transcripts, but Google will do the transcripts for you. And there's different ways to get them in there. So I'm not going to spend too long in here, but you do need to put your transcripts on there so the LLMs can find it. Okay. And that's done under subtitles. And you can go back and do that later if you don't have them right now. And then it checks it for copyright. And then you can make it public, private, or unlisted. I've seen some videos where they say make it private at first, but we had a bad experience with that. I don't know if it's still the same way. The algorithm was when you put a video on YouTube, the algorithm checks when you put it on. Is this showing up in front? The algorithm checks when you put it on, and then it sees how many people view it and decides whether or not to keep showing it. So if it's private, what it was doing was checking it from the time we put it as private, so it was killing our videos. So we schedule everything now, so then you can go back and fix it up later. I don't know if that bug has been fixed or not. So we'll schedule this. And that's the video link. If you want to share that with anybody, you can then. And now we have shorts, and this shows up as a short. So the details are there, and you can look, you can go in there to look at the details. In the analytics, you can edit it, you can look at comments, see subtitles, copyright clips, and then you can go up and view it on YouTube. So we'll view this on YouTube.
Converse the sofa.
So tiny. Okay. So now we're back at YouTube. So if we want to go back, oh wait, I'm not controlling this. This is a video. Okay, so this is done actually. So let me stop share for a minute so I can get out of here. And oh, I need to hit escape, don't I? How do I get this? Okay. Let me go back to I'm not hitting escape, that's why. Okay. So okay, this is a different channel, but I did want to show one more video.
While she's finding that, if you have any other questions just about the basics that Elizabeth went through, yes, Karen. Do you already have a Gmail address? Yeah.
Yes, you do. Okay, so I want to show one more video that oh, okay. I'm not. Okay, let me pause this. Thank you, Maggie. Let me go back here. Let me
Yeah, so her question, Stacy, was she had set up a Google account, or she had set up a YouTube channel, but she didn't remember setting up a Google account. But she already had a Gmail address, so she had already set it up way in the past and just didn't realize that if you have a Gmail address, you have set up a Google account, and then you don't need to redo that process. You just need to have a Gmail address in order to do a YouTube channel.
So this
Great.
is,
Thanks.
yeah, this is an existing YouTube channel. This is something that my assistant did to show how she uploads our videos. So this is our Real AI Use Cases YouTube channel, which is also a podcast. So one, upload your video. So to include the title, include a description, social media profiles or website, to bold text, press Control B. In the description, include a call to action, inviting viewers to subscribe, add hashtags and check them, and upload your video thumbnail. So this is where if you had Canva, this is why I wanted to show you, you would upload a thumbnail right there.
So we do have a question of how do you get thumbnails?
Okay, well, yes, that's that's our next workshop. And then this is adding the subtitles. So she just added the SRT file, which had the timestamps too, which Google loves. And then she set this as public. So that's the end of that. So let me hit.
So, Aman, I know
Since when did becoming senior developer just mean meetings and presentations all day? I
I
swear
don't
I
know.
spend more.
I don't know. No, I just screwed up. Okay, so we're done with that. So
Aman, we are going to go into more detail about how to make thumbnails in Canva next month.
And- but YouTube will choose a thumbnail for you.
And it's often really bad.
And it's really good. It'll be one with your mouth wide open.
So I highly recommend that you don't let it do that for you. You can just upload a picture of something or yourself if you want to just do something very simple, but we'll go into a little bit more the better graphics next time.
So now
Yeah,
it is
the way that Google creates that thumbnail is it just randomly selects one of any screen within your video.
Yeah.
So literally it will end up with everyone's luck to be that's the picture when your mouth is open, your eyes are closed.
okay. So Robert, I am going to open your presentation. Can you see it there on that computer? We can have light. It reflects off of here. Do you want a little bit of light?
Oh, I don't know. It seemed like we're starting to sit in dark, but maybe
Um,
it's okay if everybody else
maybe
is okay.
well, let's try the light and see sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with dark.
Yeah, we could crack the curtains a little. Okay, so are both of these the same thing, Robert? Or
Yeah,
the-
I think they're
Let me
both
do the
same, yeah.
paradigm. Okay.
Let's start because we didn't give you a proper introduction, just letting us know a little more who you are.
This guy.
Who are you? As you start to talk about this really amazing stuff.
Yeah. So, again, thank you for having me, and it's great to be on the other side of the river, coming from New York City. Yeah. Usually, I'm only out here for Jets games, so I go home miserable. So tonight, I think be going home in a better mood. But my name is again Robert Tuckman, and I started as well, just going back in podcasting, started as a host. I hosted a podcast called How Success Happens, and that was for Entrepreneur Magazine. And basically, what I would do is I would interview different entrepreneurs, and soon enough, I quickly realized I had all these entrepreneurs coming on the show, and they were dying to get on the show. And I was thinking to myself, and we're going back now to probably about 2020, thinking to myself, why aren't these entrepreneurs of big companies, Lululemon or Kind Bar, why aren't they creating their own content, their own podcast? And that was kind of the impetus for my business, which is called Amaze Media Labs. And started, an entrepreneur. I was in sports and entertainment prior to this. So this is all new to me as well. Well, now 6 years. So we started creating podcasts for companies. And we started to do a lot, all different types of companies. Everyone has a story to tell, right? Or wants to be a thought leader. And at the time, it was really mostly audio. That's been one of the big changes, which we'll talk about tonight with YouTube, because that really is the premier channel to get discovered, and what I would be focusing on. But in any case, what had happened was we started creating tons of podcasts for different companies, and then we realized quickly it was very hard to get audience because we created a podcast for Ford Motor Company, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, they'll throw it on their social media, they'll put it on Facebook, or they'll put it on LinkedIn, and we're going to have thousands of viewers. And I think we had like 150 for our first episode. And I realized at that point, or me and my partner realized, we're probably going to be out of business in a couple weeks if we keep creating podcasts with no audience. And that's when we started to look into what I think and still is the biggest issue within podcasting, and that's finding and growing audience. And we created, well, I didn't create, but we have a young engineer. I was telling Sonia prior, 20, well, he's probably 25 now, 26, maybe he was 20 at the time, dropped out of college after 2 weeks, grew up in upstate New York, one of those types of guys, just way smarter than me, had already created some type of technology that was or gave you the ability to grow your podcast. And we turned that into what I'll share now, something called Audience Lift. And I could get into that. We have Audience Lift both for general podcasts for audio and also for YouTube.
Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, why don't we run through this pretty quickly? So you'll see, it's not only, as I mentioned, Ford, it's not, this Audience Lift, and if, you go to audiencelift.com, you can actually see the platform. But basically, it's used by individual podcasters, people who are just starting out, so you can gain some traction. And it's also used by some of the biggest podcasts in the world. You'd be surprised. Everyone needs to grow audience for one reason or the other. And again, as I said, it's a little bit difficult. So how it works. How do we get to the?
Oh, I have to do it over
Oh,
here.
no wonder.
I'm driving the car.
I'm so used to driving. So basically, how it works is we have what we call a DSP, and that is basically about, well, here in the U.S., it's global, but about in the U.S., 25,000 premium websites that we work with that we can advertise on. And what we do is we create, if you don't have one, or you create, if you want to, for the platform, a trailer for your podcast. So basically, what happens is then you figure out and you tell us who your target audience is. So, for instance, for this show, This Week in Tech, it's a podcast that is all about, you'd imagine, technology. Good name because you know what it's about. And it's actually a good podcast. It does pretty well. And so how it works is what we do first is if the person who is on their mobile device matches the demographic that This Week in Tech is looking for, someone probably who's interested in technology, what we do is we're able to place your podcast trailer into that article. So you're reading the New York Times, reading an article on AI, and bang, all of a sudden, while you're reading it in the middle there, article pops up for This Week in Tech, and you can press listen to the podcast trailer. Yeah. And then what happens is people listen to the trailer, and then what they do is the first thing is they have an option once they listen to the trailer that they can subscribe to receive push notifications. And you'd be surprised, you'd think many people, oh, I don't want push notifications. But what we find is that a lot of people who are listening to the trailer, they might be going for lunch. They might, they're reading a quick article, but hey, I'm really interested in this week in tech. So they'll subscribe, and within 24 hours, we send them a push notification. Hey, remember you subscribed to This Week in Tech. And then they can click on that, or immediately they can click and go right to our player number 3 here, where they can actually start listening to episodes. And it works extremely well. Really, what I like to say is we kind of fish where the fish are and find your audience. And the great thing about this too is that, not everyone has an iPhone, so they don't have Apple Podcasts, and not everyone who doesn't have an iPhone or another phone has Spotify. The great thing about this is a web-based player. So anyone, if you've never listened to a podcast before, you could start listening to a podcast. So that could be the first podcast you ever listen to. So it's really a great tool, and it drives tons of downloads. And as I said, it's great for those starting podcasts who want to gain traction. And it's also really good for those who have major audiences and have sponsors, and they have to achieve a certain amount of listens to get paid by that sponsor. So it's used for both.
Okay. Next one.
Yep,
This is kind of fun being in control.
I see. Not for me. This is very hard. Like
You have
being
your wife drive.
No, this is like being on the couch and not having control of my remote. In any case, so here's just a few more examples so you can see some of these are big podcasts. Blood is Thicker. That actually CBS podcast, it went to #1. That's the other great thing about this is we're able to drive tons of downloads. So some of these start charting. Here's something called Pit Pass Indie. So there's an article on ESPN, and you see the articles just appear the ads appear inside of the article. And again, the greatest thing about this is that, if Sonia's into indie racing,
Oh, I know she is.
Favorite.
she seems like she is
Yeah,
a
I
big
think she's
indie race
driven.
fan.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you ran out here with it. It's like an
yeah,
interest.
she. I won't say.
She drives.
I'm not sure she's an indie car driver. But she did get us out here. And we're live. We still have to go home back to New York. But
Hitchhike.
yeah, I'll take my chances. But she can drive like an Indy race car driver, so she might be interested. So our technology knows because we find out the target demographic of this podcast. So they want to find people who are into Indy race driving or into motorsports. And then, so basically, let's say I'm not, I won't see that article will not appear for me, but it will for Sonia. And then she can click on it and she can become a subscriber and work on the driving. Now, here's our pricing. As you can see, believe it or not, I know for individuals, this might look expensive. It is for companies, but when you look at this and the pricing, if you compare it to anything that's out there, and I'm not talking about, there's a lot of things out there like bots and ways that people drive audience. Again, this is legitimate people. So basically, who have listened to your trailer and then listened to an episode for the required amount of time so it becomes an official listen. It's IAB certified. It shows up on your hosting platform. And we have a bit of a discrepancy. You'll see there it says, for $500 we'll guarantee you a minimum of 3,000.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
something? Is this audio?
This is audio, and
Okay.
then
You're
do you
gonna
want
talk
to? We'll flip to
video later.
Exactly.
But a lot of people have audio podcasts. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, mostly I would recommend you're doing YouTube is key, but if you have both audio and video, I would certainly recommend. Audio is a great way to start. The good thing about YouTube too is that you can capture the audio as well, and then it's very easy to, get it onto the different platforms. Now, the reason for the big discrepancy is, it also comes down again to there's no silver bullet. I mean, this is a silver bullet in terms of pricing and the amount of people we can get to listen to it, but it depends on your content, right? Your content has to be good. So some of the people that put out some shows might get 3,000 downloads, and others. I had someone the other day, individual out of New Zealand. She has a podcast, and she in her campaign got 12,000 downloads, and she never would have been. Her podcast would have never been discovered before.
Can I ask you something
yeah.
right here?
Of course.
So you have to have good audio to get those downloads. Absolutely, right?
Absolutely. If
And-
you
Yeah, so we use Descript because we do video.
Mhm.
Descript has this wonderful studio sound that really crisps up your audio. Is there an audio, and I haven't used any of these audio programs. Would Audacity or something really crisp up your audio so that your audio is perfect on the
I'm not
podcast?
sure about the technology behind the actual audio. What I will tell you is you're 100% right that the quality of your audio plays a major part in terms of someone listening through your whole trailer or
Mhm.
listening through your entire podcast.
Yeah.
But audio using a microphone, if you're, let's say, taping from Zoom or Riverside, you want them using a microphone.
Mhm.
It's the quality of your audio is super important.
And if your audio isn't good, you may be able to save it with an editing program, but you may not. I mean, we have rescued some audio.
We have definitely rescued audio for our production. We have a solid production team. There is ways to enhance audio and the quality of audio for sure. The best thing to do if you're new to podcasting, you're podcasting out of your home, you're doing it yourself through a Riverside, is really to prepare yourself. We even go as far as when we have guests or our clients have guests on, we talk to them the day before. We make sure they're set up in a room where the internet's working well, their technology is working, their sound is good, because it's so important. Now, we will still get you those downloads, even if the sound quality isn't so great. We just will have to serve a lot more impressions, which we always hate to do because the more impressions we have to serve, the more it costs. But we only will charge you whatever the budget is that you decide.
So if you have poor audio, you can either try to clean it up in a program yourself or send it to somebody that's a professional at cleaning up audio. I don't think they're that expensive on Fiverr
Yeah,
or Upwork these days.
not at all. You could find some, especially these days. Unfortunately, in the podcast business, if we go back a year or two, there were a lot more podcast companies. There now, in terms of how many people are out there who are producers or editors looking for freelance gigs and work, you can certainly find on Fiverr, not just in North America. We found some incredible talent in the Philippines. I mean, there's some people who are really good. So the good news about that is that it shouldn't cost you a ton.
Right. And so there's no excuse for bad audio.
Absolutely. If you take away what is going to work really well for your podcast, that is a necessity. Having good audio, I would say, is a necessity.
Yeah.
If I could just make a quick comment. So one of the things that we recently discovered is that if the gain on your system is set too high, then you get clipping, and if you get clipping, it can't be repaired. So when you're recording your no matter what software you use, no matter the skill of the engineer, so if you're recording your podcast, you want to make sure that you have some sort of meter that gauges the loudness of your recording and that you don't go overboard.
Yep.
Because once you get into that red zone, you can't go back, and that'll just sound really awful. So
Yeah.
I made that mistake recently, so I just wanted to let people know.
No, it's a great point. I think.
Can we repeat that? So,
Just summarize that.
Yeah,
Maybe
so-
no people heard that.
do you want to repeat it to the mic? Or I can. Well, so if you're too loud in your mic, basically you screw everything up and you can't fix it. You get-
End of story.
The story.
Retape it.
You get clipping, and clipping cannot be fixed. So Richard's suggestion is that you have a monitor that shows you how loud you are, and you make sure that that monitor stays in the green zone and does not go high up into the red, because if you're up in the red, you've just ruined your podcast.
And FYI, Bree, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, happens to edit audio. So, and left the link here. So if somebody's looking for somebody to fix audio, check it out.
Oh, great.
We might have to do that after this.
Yeah.
We'll see how it comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we ready to move on? Or
Yes, certainly. Now, this is one other thing that we provide, and we'll go quick because I want to get to the YouTube, but basically what we'll also provide is publisher data. So you can find out if you do use audience lift, basically, afterwards, we'll give you analytics. So we could tell you, like, for instance, this podcast, the top publishers that your downloads came from, or the people came from who listened to your podcast. So in this case, Business Insider, Fortune, that's where the majority of the ads were seen. And how Audience Lift works is it doesn't just place the ads and then hope that we get traction. What it does is it places the ads, and then the algorithm works where it sees where the most traction is coming from, the most people the articles the most people are listening to, and then going and listening to your podcast. And then it keeps placing the ads in those articles. So it's really more like machine learning, I guess, which you call AI.
yeah, well, and
So is this like per piece of content, or if you have a lot of
Here, why don't you
videos?
come sit over here so you can ask your questions into the
Sure.
mic?
If you have a lot of videos, how does it work?
It's a good question. So each of these campaigns, the question being that, if you have, let's say, on your podcast, 15 different episodes, these campaigns that we run for Audience Lift are episode specific. So we focus in on an episode. But what we find is that it takes people to an episode, but then we notice a lot of people will scroll, listen to the next episode, the next episode. So what we like to do, especially if your content is evergreen, is really start at, maybe it's your first, or everyone's first episode isn't really ever good. So, maybe you start at your second episode, and then yeah, that could be a problem as well. Find your best episode. Yeah. Find your favorite episode. Use that, target people, they'll listen to that, then they'll look for other episodes.
Are we ready for the
Yep.
next one? YouTube.
Okay. So YouTube, this basically works and for YouTube is we basically took the audience lift targeting and algorithms, and we kind of overlaid them basically onto the YouTube platform. So everything that we do, what I just showed you for audio, we actually are able to do on YouTube. But everything in YouTube, it's a little bit different because it's not articles that you're reading or looking at. Basically, what it is we find or we see the people who are engaging or most likely to engage with your content, and we're able to target them. So, like we do with the audio, when we find where a lot of those people are coming from, we're able to get those people then to um, go to your YouTube channel, which we saw how to create. And then basically we have different ways or different services for YouTube. One is we can focus on channel growth and growing subscribers. And the other is we can just focus on maybe it's just a short or it's your podcast and we're just looking for views, which is the same as listens or downloads.
Right. Okay. So if you get views, that doesn't mess up your channel, right? It's if you try to get subscribers and they're not people that are really interested and they don't come back, that really messes up your channel, right?
100 what you want to. So we work closely with YouTube, and basically the key component I will tell you is engagement, right? So you need there's a lot of hacks people chase to try and get downloads. You'll see, or not downloads, listen, views for YouTube, and kind of these vanity metrics. But what really matters most, whenever YouTube changes their algorithm, number one is engagement. How long are people listening? How long are they staying on that piece of content? That it's great because there's no they don't want the hack. They don't want people to get around the system, so to speak. And it makes sense if people are on your channel and they're watching your videos for a long amount of time, that means that they're engaged.
Okay.
Is there a length of time that's considered good engagement?
You know, there it it's pretty incredible because we see a wide range of, depending on people's content. But, as I say on like audio podcasts, if people are listening to 50%, that's 50, 60%. That's well, at least in the podcast we create, that's pretty good. Some people that might not be, but I would say in terms of length, it's really about um, for YouTube, definitely listening through for the most part to the majority that is going to show real engagement, as opposed to audio. It's more important longer. So it's hard to say because, how good is that content? But you want to probably see more than 50, 60%, just like audio of the length of what you're showing, whether it's a short or whether it's, but some people might put 50-minute, 90-minute. It's hard to,
All right.
I mean, if you can get people to listen that long, that's great.
And do likes and comments make a big difference?
They do. Well, I wouldn't say they make a big difference. It all factors in to the engagement. Number one, by far, from what we've seen, especially in the past year, 6 months, is definitely length of time. Then after that, not so much the likes, but more of the comments, more of that type of engagement, as opposed to length of time.
Richard, you had a question, didn't you? That I
I
cut
just
off,
want-
I think. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I mean, how many views and subscribers are fake or come from, you know, unethical sources as opposed to,
So the
real
question
sources?
is how many views are fake or come from unethical sources?
There, So this was our biggest issue when we launched Audience Lift and our business. And the biggest thing we had to overcome is that if you go back a few years, just even on audio, I'll tell you on YouTube, but there are tons of these downloads or lists. No one was able to really track it, whether it was host platforms or it just, so you'd have tons and tons of really not, bots, they would call them. And nowadays, the good news is that they've gotten a lot better. I will tell you, and I assure you, with Audience Lift, whether it's the beauty is it's all real people, real listeners. Everything's IAB compliant, monitored by a software called Cloudflare, which makes sure that they're not bots. But when you start seeing, your views or on YouTube or wherever coming from places like Pakistan and India, and where they have a lot of these bot farms, if you're not in those countries, if you're like a US podcast, um, there's a good chance that a lot of those are coming from bot farms, but they've gotten much better at YouTube. The audio platforms have gotten much better at weeding out that. But it used to be a major problem. It was one of our biggest problems when we were out there. Like, how do I know these aren't bots? How do I know these are real people? Can I see the ad? Can I, it was it was very difficult at first, but I think people have gotten a lot more comfortable now. We have a lot of people within the industry who have tested it, used it, at least our product, and it's a little bit less of an issue, but it still is.
Do you have any more on this slide or?
No, this is just, so the difference here between what I showed you before is if you're going, it's a different, if you're going for subscribers, you want subscribers, right? And you want subscribers who are real subscribers. This is kind of to Richard's question is you don't want, you might go look at some YouTube sites and there might be hundreds of thousands of subscribers and just like Instagram accounts and which is much worse. There's and 90% are fake. What we do is we have a product that just focuses on building subscribers, and how we do that is we get less video views for you for the same budget, but we're focused on people who are really the ones who are going to engage for the long period of time with your content, because those are the people that then really become subscribers. And then when you release new content, they're the ones that are going to watch it. And the great thing with our YouTube audience lift is that even post campaign that we run, because we train the algorithm to find the person that is most likely to want to view your content, we train it. YouTube picks up on that. So then they start showing your channel just in general when videos come up without paying us. Like we have some great numbers from pre-campaigns, doing a campaign, then post-campaigns, how many subscribers people got, because we're training the algorithm to your channel.
Right. So I have a little story about this. I had a channel, and on YouTube, there was this button that said promotion, and you could promote it to get subscribers or viewers. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to get all these subscribers. Well, that totally screwed up my channel forever, because what happens is when you put out a new video, YouTube shows it to your subscribers first, right? And if they watch it, then it'll keep showing it. If none of them watch it, it buries it, right? And these weren't real subscribers. But so I tried doing it on views, and it didn't really seem to make a lot of difference trying to do it myself that way.
Yeah, that unfortunately can happen, and that's why, kind of going back to, if you take away one thing about YouTube tonight and growing your show or podcast on YouTube, focus on creating, which you should anyway, really good content that people are engaging with for a long period of time. Not just throw, it's great to throw up shorts and, try many things, but what YouTube is looking at specifically right now, and I think will continue because it just makes sense, is are people really engaging with your content? And the number one metric is time watching each video.
Yeah, Richard's been studying that a lot. And
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, YouTube is a business. They want people to stay on the channel. If they serve bad content, then you're going to go to LinkedIn, right? But if you've got good engaging content, one right after another, you're going to stick on the channel. And so, I think the most important thing, like you said, is do a good job with your content and make sure people like it. So.
Yeah, I could not agree with that more. I think that's been kind of, when we were coming out and trying to figure out even algorithms and our product, we quickly realized that we need to focus on making sure that the content is good that you're promoting and making sure that it's resonating with people.
Right.
We also-
You can SEO the content, you can get great titles, you can use keywords, you can get a lot of visibility on it, but if people are jumping off, you're not going to get what you
Yeah, it won't do you any good.
yeah, there's a question here.
Do more videos like, Sonia.
How consistent do you have to be? How many times do you have to do it? And about how long would the clips be?
Are you talking about shorts, YouTube shorts? So how long do they have to be? How consistently do you have to do it? Is that basically your question?
And I think of shorts as being like a minute, right? Or
Yeah.
under.
Yeah, I mean, with shorts, there's what I think it's best for is, getting your channel out there, right? It's kind of like a trailer, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Teaser.
Yeah, it's the teaser that, oh, you know what? I want to really, this looks like good content. So I would say it's good for expanding reach. It brings in new viewers. It can increase subscribers and awareness. So there's no specific number, I would say. You do want to be consistent and have new content coming out because, at the end of the day, after if you only have two shorts and one,
Right.
no one's going to come back and rewatch. It's not like Goodfellas, I've seen it 100 times. But in any case, yeah, I would say there's not specifically, but shorts are definitely great for awareness.
Well, can I just chime in here? And maybe Melissa has some experience. I know you do a lot of shorts, but I have a channel I've been doing. And first of all, there's one really good thing about shorts that you left out. They're so great for your ego. On this channel, you have 20,000 views. Well, yeah, like 15,000 or like 19,900.
By the time the person clicks off, it's already done.
But I do see a spike in views every time. I put out 3 shorts at once every week. I put an episode on 3, and I do get subscribers. And I look at how long people are looking at it when they're swiping away. I have to say the best performing short was one that Richard did. Well, it was not, he didn't do it. It was taken out of our longer podcast, and it was called AI Dumpster Fire. And he was complaining about AI, and everybody loved that one.
I think some serious frustration there.
Yeah.
Relatable.
What I love about
But-
YouTube is the analytics. So you
Yeah.
can go in and you can look and you can see how long how many looked, how many swiped away, how long they watched, all that stuff on your videos, right?
Yes. And what I'm curious though is if you try, I know you said you put out 3 at once,
Yeah.
spacing them out a little
No.
bit?
I put them all out.
Have you tried spacing
Spacing
it
them
out?
out. I have not tried spacing them out yet. I'm experimenting. I thought I would listen to what you had to say and then make some changes.
So I'm gonna say, see how it goes. We'll if you just space them out a little bit instead of putting all three up at once,
Okay.
space it. Just play with the amount of time. It could be a couple hours, could be a day. But I think I looked into it, and I think that if you space, we've had more success spacing them out. It still could work extremely well because sometimes if you have all three and someone's like, "Oh, this is really good," and then like they click right on to the next, that could help. But maybe space them out, and you can.
You get a broader reach that way.
Yeah. So how are your shorts going, Melissa?
So the stuff that I put on YouTube was not designed for YouTube. It was part of Instagram stuff. And when I was designing or starting my YouTube channel in preparation for the podcast, I was throwing some stuff up there to see, how to do it, and what problems I might have, which is good because more than half of them got flagged for music copyright, even though I had purchased the music rights for everything that I used. But then you had to do a rebuttal and you have to send them all your paperwork, and then they might bring it back online, they might not bring it back online. So I learned a lot, which was the goal of that, which was a problem I never even thought was going to come up with music stuff, because I was very particular in making sure that I bought things in advance. Any clip that you use, YouTube will flag it. There's a note. And there's like one piece of music that is our like trademark music that is used over and over again, and they keep coming back and flagging that. And I'm like, how many more times do I have to give you the paperwork on this? And I still have a bunch of them that have not come back online because they're still being battled over. So,
Wow.
so lesson learned. Don't use music.
Did you buy the license through Instagram or did you?
No, I bought the license through Premium Beats, which is like the #1. It's part of Shutterstock. They've been around forever, and very well known and respected and such. And yeah, that's just a lesson learned.
So how are
there.
your shorts doing? The ones that are allowed through, how are they doing?
They're doing okay, but they're not designed for that. They're more, I don't know what to say. They're okay. I haven't promoted them. I haven't done any sort of promotion whatsoever. So you might get 50 views on something, and yay.
Well, I think part of it's how you do the titles.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
Well, and those also weren't titled. Like I
Oh.
also put them up without all of the bells and whistles that you would normally go through on YouTube by testing a scheduling app that works great for things like Instagram and even LinkedIn, but does not work great for YouTube. So this was again part of my own lesson, experimentation of what works and what doesn't. If you want to schedule something on YouTube, go through the YouTube scheduler so that you can put all of the information for each of those posts up there.
But YouTube is its own animal, and it knows it's extremely powerful, and it forces you to do things its way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you do, things will work great.
And I do think just getting to the point with the thumbnail and looking at the title, both very important. The key though is that both should support one clear idea.
Yeah.
It's really important that if you can make sure of that, so your text isn't off of what the thumbnail looks like. A clear idea is always going to help with people who are going to want to view.
Well, ours are doing pretty well, I think. None of them have gone viral, but we're getting like 1,000 views each usually, and 50% watch time on. Except
That's great.
Richards are getting like 80% watch time. But
Better.
but I think the reason is
Mother.
She sits there all day.
but I think
It's your mother?
But I think the reason, to your point, is that this is for a shorter podcast we pull out of our longer podcast, and it's called Real AI Use Cases. And every single video has AI as one of the first words. And so this is about using AI. And So it's very, and I think that's important that you're really clear what you're about. Right?
Yes, 100%. Just people want to know exactly what this is about, instead of trying to look all, cool thumbnail and come up with some, you know, what you think is some witty writing. You want to just be clear and direct to the point. You want them to work together.
Do you find that it matters whether it's AI generated, both the content, like the wording of things and the thumbnails, the visuals?
Um, I think performance, I guess, depends on the viewer's response. There can be some decent AI thumbnails. It really just depends. There's some, as you know, you can create Canva. There's something called Gamma. I would look at that as well. That's a really good product. I think sometimes they can perform. I don't think it's one or the other.
It doesn't hurt. It's
No,
not
oh,
like
no,
if it's AI
no.
generated, it's
No.
gonna
So I
hurt your
think it sounds like
chances.
it's
No.
really well, especially on the audio distribution side.
Yeah.
And like YouTube, they say that you should have a person's picture on the thumbnail. The audio doesn't seem to care about that because my best audio one is this totally cartoonish AI generated cover.
Yeah, I with audio and thumbnail, I think it's more important, especially when you're dealing with audio. It's more about the title of the
Mhm.
podcast context, as opposed to YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have a question?
Maybe.
Comment?
Yeah, is this is there I mean, it's just I'm just like kind of looking at some of the questions that we planned, and what are the differences in terms of how you would grow a podcast versus grow a YouTube channel?
That's a good one, Sonia.
That is a very good. She's paying me back now for my time.
Exactly.
So basically, you want to treat podcast episodes like individual videos, right? Each episode needs its own hook, title, thumbnail. Um, don't rely on the show brand. I would say. I think for video for YouTube, again, it's a little bit more difficult because you don't just want to, we have a lot of clients who do this. They'll take a webinar and then they'll just like throw it on to YouTube and think people are gonna, be entertained.
Drones.
And they weren't entertained the first time around. And so it's really important, I think, in that respect, more so with graphics and animations and things that you can create and to make the video look really good, as opposed to audio, going back to what we discussed earlier, which was the quality of the sound. Because I don't care how good your podcast is, if the audio's kind of off, you're going to want to turn it off. You're not going to want to listen to it. It's kind of like when well, it used to happen when I listened to Mets games on, the radio, and you're getting out of range, and and
That is
my
awesome.
kids and my wife are like, "What are you doing? This is annoying," and I can still hear it. No one wants to listen to Mets.
Or the Jets.
Yeah, I definitely do not root for the good teams.
So custom campaign. This is kind of a mean thing to say for us. So we do our radio show and podcast at iHeart, and it goes on iHeart. But when we look at our stats on Castos for downloads and listens, none of them come from iHeart. They
Yeah.
come from Apple mainly for the audio.
Yeah. Gotta be careful what I'm gonna say here because iHeart is a client of ours.
This is totally confidential.
That is-
Ask the thousands of people.
I mean, this isn't as big news as some of the other things out there now going on.
Do you
But
think it's just not monitoring that? That Castos is not monitoring iHeart?
no, I think that when you know you're taping or you're doing your show from iHeart, right? You're producing it. It's on their player.
Right.
But I think what it is that 80%, or I think it's close to 80% of people listen to podcasts via Spotify or Apple.
Yeah. So it's there, it's just not showing up.
It's there, but it's iHeart is they have a player. There people are, but when people are listening to podcasts, certainly radio, of course, they dominate. But when it's a podcast, people know your show. You have repeat listeners. They're probably picking it up on Apple or Spotify, which you're seeing.
Yeah. So it's there on iHeart. I mean, it must be because they were the first ones to put it as a podcast and they were transcribing it, and they've really helped us a lot, I think, by doing that.
Oh yeah.
And then we put it on Castos later to distribute everywhere else.
Yeah, iHeart, they have been around. We work with them. They have, we work with them. The NFL is one of their big clients. I mean, they've got a lot of deals. Podcasting has become they're a public company. You can see all this, but podcasting has become a huge part, obviously, of their business. And they're known. If you look at anyone in the industry in terms of podcasting, they're probably most focused, I would say. Of course, when you look at companies like Apple and Spotify, I mean, they're major, although they're focused on music as well, Spotify and Apple. But Apple has so many other businesses.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep trying. So,
Yeah.
so you use advertising in mobile apps and games for campaigns on these different.
Yes. So we are coming out with a new product that will be out in probably, I like to say mid-May. It's supposed to be early May, but I always give
Yeah.
probably be next August. But in any case, this new product is focused specifically on Apple. So
Okay.
what it's going to be able to do is it's going to be able to target just Apple. So instead of taking, as I showed you initially, to our player, it's going to go to Apple's player. Now, it's a little more expensive because it's not as frictionless. You have to click, you have to go to Apple. You can't control push notifications. Apple controls those. But we are going to have that product coming out hopefully mid-May, which we believe is going to be a game changer because, we have tons of clients. They want downloads. Then all of a sudden, and they want to start ranking. They want to rank on Apple, be on the charts. And that's important. We're working on one for Spotify as well. It's a little bit more difficult. So hopefully by mid-May, we check audience lift the platform. We should have it by then.
So do people ever listen to audio and then go to YouTube from there?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, we can't track them.
That's hard to do.
If I wish we could to see, I think it's probably the other way around more so because YouTube is such a better discovery platform.
Yeah.
Like Apple and some of these other platforms, it's even hard to find. Like, I'll look for my own podcast and like 10 other ones will pop up.
So this is why and you and I both gave presentations at Podfest. My presentation was about AI discoverability because people are going to start typing it into chat.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and there's a way to get AI discoverability on your content, and you have to have a website to do it and put schema code on there so that these AI discovery engines will find you. But yeah, and so I think that the way people are searching for podcasts is going to change. It hasn't yet, but it will.
No, you're absolutely right. I would be focusing on ways how you can will come up. Let's say you're on
Yeah.
ChatGPT or Gemini, and you say, give me a podcast on AI or whatever
Yeah.
it might be. It's kind of like the new Google, so to
Mhm.
speak. That's obviously why they,
It is.
But yeah, I would be focused on that. It's also new. It's all just out, so it's very hard to determine. You seem to know like
Well, I've done
bunch.
some research
Yeah.
on it. It's supposed to work. I don't know if it does,
Right.
because I mean, I talked to Google Gemini, I talked to ChatGPT, I talked to Claude. Claude is the most accurate. They all have some people think they're purposely lying.
Yeah.
Think they're purposely
Claude,
lying,
there's
but
I wouldn't trust any of them. They all have their own businesses,
They-
and
they do say what they want. And what they want is schema code. They want your episodes each on their own page on a website with schema code.
it's
And
super important
yeah,
to research to find that out. What I will say is that, and as I had mentioned, we work with a lot of these companies with our audience lift, so we get a little bit of insight. They're always changing,
Yeah.
the algorithms. Just think how quickly AI is changing, and
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask if you could speak to the algorithms because they just seem so random.
Yeah,
Are they like, is there
Yeah.
is there any sense, do they do it just because they want to mess with everybody?
I even talking to people at these places, you can't even get an off the rec answer. I don't know how much. All I will say with YouTube, going back to that, is instead of what the algorithms are and looking for the hack, focus on creating good content that people engage with, because that, from what I understand, from what they say, will always be most important. It goes back to what Richard said, because that's how they make their money.
Right.
The longer people are on their platform, the more ads they can serve, the more money they make for you, the more money they make for themselves, and that's most important.
Well, so we're going to have another meetup on what is good content. How do you determine good content? Because, I think our content's good. I don't know if anybody else does, right?
I think it's if you look at content and what's good, and is the beauty of podcasts or podcasts or whatever you want to call it, is it's niche, right? So if you
Yeah.
have you have an interest in you know
Indy
a certain
car
topic,
racing.
Indy car racing, like Sonia, she she will tell you what the good content is. She can compare it. But yeah, I think it's more so, even though if you do have a niche, you still need to put out good content.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next slide.
Oh, these are just people we paid to give us. These are people, yeah, in the industry. He's from New Jersey. And James Cridlin has a Pod News, the newsletter. He's great guy.
We get
Yeah,
those
did you?
emails.
Great emails.
Him at Podfest. I should have.
Oh, I can. You can just. He's.
Introduce me to him. I want to have him come here and talk about.
Oh, he would love. He would. Well, he lives in Australia.
I was gonna say he's
But he is.
he might come.
Oh, if I tell you, well, he will be in New York because there is not Podfest. There is
Pod-
Pod Movement
Oh, pod.
in New York this fall. So he'll be in the area. He is probably the one of the nicest guys in the industry, most helpful, has always helped us, just genuine. I really like him a lot, and he's probably most knowledgeable. If you need a newsletter or you want to find a newsletter just about the industry, Pod News is, I would say, the best newsletter.
Well, I'm going to look him up and get him.
Yeah,
Get him
Lex
here.
Friedman, he's very well known.
Well, that's a different Lex Friedman.
Oh, okay.
Then there's the Lex Friedman. You're the Lex Friedman. This guy is actually, he worked at Wondery. Like
Okay.
he actually, funny enough, another super nice guy, and very knowledgeable New Jersey guy, as I said. The other one is a podcast host,
Right.
who's well known.
Yeah. Okay.
Different guy.
He's Lex Friedman, 1, 2, 3. The other one's just Lex Friedman.
It's like it's
Like the name and the copyright.
Exactly.
McDonald's McDowell.
Yeah.
Hey, so are there any other things in the chat that you meant?
Somebody asked if you could get them the price list, or if we could send that out perhaps when we send out the audio because they would like to
Oh
receive
yeah,
that. They're really interested. in
Send you
that.
my deck.
Yeah, I'll put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the deck. Okay, I can put that. Well, it'll be in this video, which I'll put on our YouTube channel.
Cool.
But maybe we could
But-
have a separate attachment with just those things.
But I'll
So
send
it's
out an
easy.
email. Okay, so if you send,
Yeah.
somebody wants a price list,
Yes.
so send me, or I could attach a whole deck to the email maybe, but probably a PDF of the price list is good. But yeah, so
the deck we have that we went through, if they can email me or they could email you if you want to send it, send them
Yeah.
our PDF. What we usually do whenever anyone's interested, we send them the PDF. The website has the platform. You can go on there. Actually, what you can do is, most people creating podcasts, a good thing is they're pretty technical. If you go on our platform, you can play around on the back end and put your podcast in there, and then at the end it has the pricing. You don't have to go through with it. You don't have to put your credit
oh,
card in.
that's cool.
So you can go see what the pricing is, but the pricing for is in our PDF. If you email me or email Liz, whatever, I'll just send it.
Yeah, email us and we'll get it to you.
Yeah, I can.
Or
you have
something
it.
in the Facebook. Melissa's
Yeah.
managing the Facebook.
That'd be awesome.
Do you have any extra knowledge or any thoughts on monetization, in terms of how to go about doing that, what the deal is on that?
I would say
Help
don't
people
go
do that.
into podcasting if you're looking. Do it because you love it. Monetization, what I would say, what I've noticed most is not, it's very difficult even by CPM. We have a lot of people who buy a lot of downloads from us and they're able to kind of monetize that way because they're drawing tons of downloads. But what I would do, the best way to look at something is to find a sponsor. So someone who you could have presented by, right? So you're giving them more value than just, let's say, an ad. I wouldn't look at it as just an ad in your podcast. I would have it more so as a sponsorship you might sell that says, presented by. Maybe if it's a law firm sponsoring your podcast, you have one of the partners on as a guest. You have to create more value, not just add that 2,000 people or 1,000 or 500 or, you have to give them more than if you want to really get, you can make it, it won't pay the bills if it's just ads.
Is it easier to, I mean, it's not easy. Is it well, I'll just use the word easier to monetize a podcast or YouTube?
Oh,
Or are they about the same?
Um,
Whether it be
Yeah.
sponsorship or ads?
that's a really good question. I think there's more you can do with YouTube. So, for instance, product display,
Yeah.
that you could use on your desk. That Coca-Cola wants to sponsor you, some tequila.
Do shots on your YouTube.
They do want to say, I did ask Google Gemini. I said, if I wanted to start a podcast right now and I wanted one of the big AI companies to sponsor my podcast, what would I have to do? Everybody's looking at me like they want to. And what it said
Well,
was,
What did it say?
oh, but do you
No,
have-
no, 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 no. I'm
Oh,
curious.
okay. What it said was, okay, if you want to Google, it's talking about itself. Google is trying to convince small business owners to use Google AI and to use Google for Business, but they cannot get them away from Microsoft. Now, this is a brand identity problem. We all know that, right? Because you think Google goes into all your business, and Microsoft was made for business to keep it tight. So it said what you could do is have people in the industry on talking about the security between the different companies and have some of the executives on from Google and interview them on your podcast and talk about why it's just as good as Microsoft and how it's better in some ways. And if you did that and you had industry experts on, and then it said some of the experts you have on may want to sponsor you too. So that was its answer.
Which it's amazing. It's a great way to look at it. I think the first thing is you have to have listeners, right? You have to have you have to have that. So even if you're going to create the content specifically because you're targeting a certain sponsor, let's say like AI, even if you created that and you were able to get all these folks on the show, but you're not getting any traction, it's unlikely they might sponsor it unless you're someone who's known kind of in that AI world. I'm coming out on my own podcast. They know they're going to get some traction. But if you start your podcast and you start creating it, you start gaining traction and you really keep that focus, Google, they have competitors, someone would be interested because exactly right. That's what their interest is.
So what your content needs to include is why someone wants to pay for the service of a specific AI provider. So Microsoft, for instance, more than 90% of the people that are using the AI within Bing are not paying the extra premium for it. And that's their biggest challenge is they need to get more people paying for the premium cost. So if you can convince them that the content that you are delivering specifies with this use case, you really need the premium, and these are all the great things that that can offer, and go into some of those examples, they are going to be much more interested because it's all in the what's in it for me, where's the money. They want to know how to get more people. And if you are the person that becomes well known in AI and respected from the community that is listening, and you can say you want to use Microsoft over Claude or ChatGPT over Microsoft or whichever your favorite is, you may need to pick one or the other in order to focus that.
So sell your soul to one of them.
Pretty much.
Well,
yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, but
Right.
but yeah, they want you to have an opinion and a favorable opinion of them. So I wouldn't do it. Like,
No, I think,
I just wouldn't do that because I like all of them.
and I also think podcasting, it's got to be authentic, right?
Yeah.
And I think that like even if you look at it with, we do a podcast for Dell NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA, one of the largest AI company. It's the largest company. But it has nothing to do with promoting their products or it's their podcast, so it's more they're just trying to talk about AI in general and of course we're not bringing sponsors on, but I think the one thing you always want to remember what's made podcasting so great, I think, is that people always want the authenticity. So they'll sniff it if they're like, oh, Google's sponsoring this, and every 5 minutes it's like, why is Google better than Microsoft? Or has it? They're people. It's almost a negative. But I don't know if you saw there's an AI podcast that just got sold. It was in Pod News like the other day. They get a lot of great guests on it, and it sold for like $30 million.
Oh, maybe we should try to sell ours.
There you go. I have a question. I want to make sure if I could just
Yeah.
jump in here, and it's a slight shift, but I want to make sure he gets answered. Around maximizing the leverage of a new show, the video and audio podcast to support the services that he provides, tech stack audits for small and medium businesses. Is there any particular strategy that works particularly well with YouTube, etc.? So he's really looking for how to use his podcast. He's got video and audio, and how he can strategically sell his services without making it probably a commercial. But are there any strategies that work particularly well?
I do not know. I couldn't tell you what would work.
Well, can I address this question?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because I did an entire presentation on this.
Never thought about it before that was brought up just now.
So I'm chief marketing officer for Gearhart Law. So I'm constantly trying to get us above the fold, so to speak. But I asked, what can I do with the podcast to drive leads to my business? Because that's really what you want to do, is drive leads. And so the number one thing, and this is like the basics of marketing back to caveman days, right? What are your clients' pain points? And you do your podcast episodes around that. Some of your episodes you may be doing to present yourself as the authority, but other ones you invite other people on. And if you can strategically invite people on who are decision makers in adjoining industries who may use your product, that's a great way to have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
So the interview podcast is really good for that. But really, your podcast episodes should be around your client's pain points, and do shorts with one question, one answer, like a tech stack developer. Like, did your last developer screw everything up? Well,
Yeah, exactly.
I won't. This is what I do differently, or whatever. But like questions like, what do they mean when they say this? And then you give the answer. You do shorts like that. And there are ways, and since you're a tech stack developer, ask, Gemini, like, how do you drive leads? And there is actually a really good website called Fame. It's a good podcast production company that also does marketing. And they actually developed a funnel to show like when people first listen and then keep listening and keep listening. And it's like the marketing funnel, and then how you finally get clients from that. And you may not realize they're coming from that, because they may just call you up and say, I heard you on, or saw you on the internet, or saw you, whatever. But a lot of them are coming from that.
It's just funny you mentioned them because they're UK based.
Yeah.
But we just got pitched by, we do cold email from time to time. It's actually helped because we're going after B2B clients. And just interestingly enough, they were like, yeah, we work with one other company, Fame. So because there's tons of podcast companies.
Right. Well, they do everything.
So they just don't do production.
They do everything, but they are strategists.
Interesting.
So that's what a lot of podcasters are missing. They don't have a strategy in place. They haven't asked ChatGPT for a business plan or a strategy.
Yeah.
They don't know what the goal of their podcast is. I know Maggie's like, oh, very yes. So the goal of Passage to Profit is to drive people to Gearhart Law.
Sure.
So we have an IP in the news segment. We talk to people about their intellectual property. We say that Gearhart Law is a sponsor at the end of every episode. Well, you're going to be on the show. Sonia's already been on it. It's for entrepreneurs. And we do get business. We don't know how much though, because people will say we saw you on the internet, right?
Yeah, they know. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you really have to, like, you can ask AI, how can I drive leads to my company with a podcast, and it will tell you.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
But you guys you're different than Fame. Fame doesn't do what you do.
Well, they don't, none of these, the difference between us and the main difference between us and a lot of the production companies is audience lift. Audience lift, in fact, most of the production companies utilize audience lift because they have, if you're going to create a podcast, a company's going to pay you. They're going to want to see, the CMO, like going back to what I spoke about at the beginning, when we saw that we had 150 downloads for Ford Motor Company, we knew the CMO was going to be like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So a lot of production companies that create podcasts like Fame does use audience lift as well for their corporate clients. And we do, we're similar on the other side of the business. Like, our whole thing is we work with companies, we'll ideate, we'll strategize, because right to your point, if you don't have the strategy or how it's going to work, and your ultimate goal of let's say business for the law firm, you need that. But I do love the idea, like you said, like for the question in here for this guy is, bring on people who could potentially be big clients of yours. Everyone loves to get interviewed.
Right. They love going on podcasts.
They love it.
Yeah. And they love, yeah, if you're positioning them as the expert and you're asking them the questions,
They're the
then
leader. They want to be perceived as that, and people just love to talk about themselves.
Right. I know we've gone over, and I just want to say, if you have any other questions, please pop it in. There's one last one that's up here. Once a YouTube channel is monetized, how can you actually withdraw the money? I imagine it gets connected to your bank account. Yeah.
thank you note.
Yeah.
Was that a spam question?
I'm not sure.
Let me give you my account number.
Once you do it, it gets connected into a bank account, so it can be funneled into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They're legit. They're not going anywhere or going bankrupt. So that's the other good thing about working with a YouTube or an Apple, or if it's Spotify, which owns Megaphone, you don't have to so much worry about getting paid.
Yeah. Right. So I guess we should end. So this is Robert Tuckman with Audience Lift, you guys. I'll send you his contact information in the email I send out. Contact us, contact Melissa through the Facebook group. If you need it, she'll have it too. And thank you all for joining us. And Melissa has a whole presentation on using Canva, which is really great. So we'll be talking about that next time.
yes, so you can set up your YouTube. All right.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Right.